G'day everyone, welcome back to Classic Prattle. My name's Marc Sheriff from the YouTube channel Marc and Cars, and this is...
Simon McGrath from Simon, Classic Car Dude.
Thanks very much for coming back after such a long break. We've had, a couple of months off since our last episode at least?
We have, in this COVID-ridden world, it's been rocky. You know?
It has. Full disclosure, we recorded an episode only probably about 3 weeks ago, and some fool messed up the audio. Becoming a bit of a thing. I think, if you watch my Porsche Talk podcast, dropped a podcast not long ago, same problem, Simon. Somebody took a lot of time out of the middle of the night for me in Canada too.
Oh, seriously?
Yes.
Oh, no.
So, it felt like a bit of a fool. But nonetheless, they came back the week after. In case you haven't checked that out, please check out Porsche Talk podcast. It's going great. Guns are averaging around 3,000 to 5,000 downloads a week at the moment.
That is amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm very happy with it. And the YouTube channel is going pretty hard, so I'm pretty happy.
Very
pleased
nice.
with that.
Well done.
Thank you. We're in Simon's garage.
Yeah, this is my shed, and it's the place I love to come to escape. It's an eccentric, messy world of treasures, distractions. I've got a beer fridge, and things I like to be surrounded by and play with.
Speaking of beer.
So this is my favourite, my choice of beer at the moment. It's Burley Big Head, and I like it because it's completely no carb. It's a no carb lager.
As opposed to carbon neutral.
Oh, you're carbon neutral. It's no carbs. I mean, maybe ScoMo could take this into Parliament. Don't be frightened of it. It's been around for 200 years. It's called no carb beer.
We could be onto something here.
We could.
So, what's this?
Okay, so I think we might have spoken about this before. This is a project. It is a Yamaha 1968 Yamaha DT1. This is the motorcycle which invented the trail bike genre of motorbikes. They released this in 1968. Suzuki and Honda and Kawasaki went, "Oh my God, what have you done?" And then from that time forward, they all produced road trail bikes. And this is it. This is the granddaddy of all trail bikes. 1968, they made this model for 6 months, and it's got some very unique things about it. If you're into Yamaha DT1s, you'd be salivating into your cornflakes at the moment.
So all three of you, I hope you're listening.
Yes, that's right. They only made, in terms of production of Japanese things, they only made 12,500 of them.
Which, that's not many.
It's not many, but since 1968, there would be probably 100 left on the planet. That's my guess.
Now, more importantly, as I mentioned, we were here not that long ago recording this. That didn't work.
It's true. I don't think I had whiskers then.
Other than the fact this has moved in the garage,
Shut
I
up.
would suspect nothing's been done to it.
Shut up! I think he's really undiplomatic, cruel, unkind. It's just not fair.
It's true, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's true. It's gone from there to here, so it'll be in the shop tonight.
Yeah.
The truth is...
Are there plans to do something with this?
Oh, absolutely. Okay, so I'm cheating. My mate, Shawnee, hope you're listening, Sean, is going to do an audio rag restoration, which means we're going to replace all the rubber, the brakes, the chain, new shockeys, new forks, all the things that need the wear, but we're not going to paint it. We're not going to...
Fantastic.
We're just going to leave it the way it is.
Yep.
We'll tidy up all the rust.
A few less oil leaks.
Yeah, maybe. That's the rust prevention.
I don't know how well this is coming through on the camera if you're watching this on YouTube, but listeners...
Critical. Pick.
But just for listeners, it is a goldy bronze colour. It's actually a good-looking motorbike.
It's beautiful.
The just the right amount of patina, rust, and I reckon they could even be original grips.
They are.
Yeah,
It
okay.
came with the original back. It's only done 7,700 miles since the speedo broke.
Yeah, sure.
So.
Yeah, that's fine. And we've got plenty of surfboards here. Just any listeners that are interested or viewers, we're not very far from the beach here, so I imagine Simon gets down there.
Cottesloe in Western Australia, and we've had some storm fronts come through. One of my sons went for a surf today.
Big swell?
Yeah, big swell. He said it was overhead high for around here because we've had this island called Rottnest.
That stops all the waves.
That stops all the waves. So you have to go north or south to catch real surf. But look, it's I'm waiting for probably I might even pack up work tomorrow lunchtime and head down. The wind's supposed to drop and there's probably a couple of metres swell. It'll be great.
Fantastic.
And I'll get wet, and nothing is better for your head than getting in the water and having a paddle around.
I'd have to agree. It's
sensational.
I don't get out enough.
Yeah.
And for viewers, we've got some of Simon's sauce.
Simon's sauce.
Bit of homemade passata.
No, it's not passata. It's a ketchup. So it means it has vinegar and sugar and...
touch chili in it too.
Yeah,
it's been a hit
chili.
in my house. This is the... we've got a bottle at home.
And it's made right here in this garage. I've got a big tub, and it's quite a palaver. It's about 4 days' work. And behind us is a stack of all the bottles.
There is.
So it's something I do, and passed down from... we've been doing that for about the last 15 years.
Fantastic.
Every year we make about 300 bottles.
Yeah, it's a bit of a hit with the old fish and chips at our place.
Oh, yeah. Big time. Big time.
Not that the sauce is necessary when you've got a young daughter. Fish and chips is always a hit.
That's right. That's so true.
Yep. And we've got some... What else we got here?
A gift.
Yeah, a few gifts here. We've got some Porsche cars here. You guys know I'm a sympathiser. We've got some models that are unmade here too on the table. We've got an old 50s Gilera Grand Prix bike.
This is really
some
fascinating.
sort of Revell Harley Davidson or something.
So it says 2 models for 5 and 6pence. And it's plastic.
Where did you find it?
Okay, so the chap, Roger Fitzharding,
Yes.
who's a famous West Australian educator.
Yeah.
I think he was headmaster of Broome High School. And he owned this bike, and I got pictures of him riding it up in Broome. And he passed away about a year ago, and he left this to me in his will.
Amazing.
I was just blown away.
Blown away,
And the family gave it to me. And so these models and the cars that I've given you now, the little 356 and
There's 2 3560, a 911 and a 917.
they came from Roger Fitzharding, a lovely chap in the
Top bloke, Rog.
end of my street. And he was loved, that man. And I only had one regret that I knew we talked a little bit about cars, but I didn't. Only after his death did I realise that just what a car freak he was. And he had like combis and Alpha. He had a Mini Cooper S, and he owned a Alpha 105 and some good stuff. And Roger was into cars, and I didn't know until after his passing, and then his family started to. I needed to help them get rid of all this stuff. So I'm taking all these magazines to the next Classic Cars and Coffee, if it's not raining, to
for a change on Classic Cars and Coffee.
Basically, we're selling them, I think, $2 or $3 each, and all the money goes to men's prostate cancer or
so if you weren't planning to go to Classic Cars and Coffee, please come along, buy a magazine from Simon.
Oh, I'm just going to put an honesty jar there.
Yeah, please, just be honest.
Yeah.
And so since... What topics are we planning to discuss in Classic Prattle? I think...
Over here is something that's arrived, but you won't see that until later in the show.
That's right. We'll come back to that. We're going to talk about something that's in the driveway behind the camera. Listeners, there is no camera, but we will come back to it shortly. We initially, on the first recording of this episode, spoke about if we were going to do engine conversions on classic cars.
That's right. We had some favourites.
We spoke about resto mods. We spoke about modernising old cars. We spoke about, the thing that makes you throw up in your mouth. Electric conversions to older cars, etc. So
I don't get that.
Yeah, I don't either, as I've voiced numerous occasions. But let's focus on the positive stuff here. Eat meat, burn fuel.
No,
your concept or something like that.
I'm a man. I'm in my cave, and I need to burn things. And on this occasion, I choose gasoline.
Yeah, okay,
I choose
enough.
petrol.
Yeah, fair enough.
I like burning petrol. I love it. In fact, for me, the great part of classic car ownership is sound,
smell,
and also the power delivery.
Oral.
Yeah, it's everything. It's sort of like rowing. It engenders the need. You become involved with internal combustion engine, whereas I've been in a couple of Teslas, and there's no doubt about it. Incredibly impressive.
Yeah, sure.
But very boring.
Look, I've brought this up myself a couple of times in that the electric car has removed performance from the discussion. So, to me, that means don't go out and try and buy the fastest car. It's been done.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't see... So now we need to look at why we buy cars.
Yes. And I think it's through relationship with in this case, I was going to say inanimate object, but it's actually an animated object because it has an engine.
Well, and we are animating it.
Indeed. It's about involvement. And some of the cars with the greatest flaws, for a starter, like a VW Beetle with an engine hanging out the back and the early Porsche too, you need to be able to harness that thing. You need to be in control of and aware of its limits. And it's that involvement, the simpatico, the relationship with the tool that makes it special. If it's too easy, you're not going to have the relationship.
And tell me, are there, as a car enthusiast, and obviously listeners and viewers will be car enthusiasts, otherwise why else would you have tuned into this?
By right. Now they are, yeah.
Yeah, so is there many things more satisfying than a rev match downshift in a manual classic car?
Bloody fabulous. And I've got a theory on that too. You know, I had a mate and he restored a Mustang and he put a big motor in it. I think it was a 427.
Sure.
Okay, so like a monster engine in what's a reasonably lightweight car. And I said to him, I don't know if I would have done that. I would have gone for something that's probably around 4 litres that you need to rev the box off. You need to try and get the thing up on its cam and keep it on its cam and have that involvement, because a big motor like a 427 is a lazy motor. So you're not going to have the level of involvement because you don't need to. You can just leave it in third and it'll pull away.
It's interesting you say, oh, look, I'm going to contradict you, as I should in this podcast.
It's for
hence
It's my shed. Yeah, go on.
The NASCAR motors of the time.
Yeah.
60s, we're talking here.
Yeah.
Early 70s.
Yeah.
All big motors, okay?
Yeah.
And they would rev all the way out to, which sounds small in modern car times, I know, but 6,000, 6,500 RPM. But if you drive a V8 at 6,500 RPM, you're not messing around, you know what I mean? It is humming along. And sure, it's not V12, Lamborghini, Aventador, McLaren type revving, but it is... There's a lot going on in that motor. Any pushrod motor, you're up in the 6s and 7s. That's a lot going on, right?
Okay.
These cars get cammed to suit those outcomes. And I'm fortunate enough that I've driven a lot of American/Australian muscle cars that have been highly modified, owned a few myself. And just through their intake management, the way you cam them and their exhaust, it enlivens them from that lazy perspective you're talking about there.
So that brings me to my next sort of car philosophy. And I reckon most of the fun is between 0 and probably 120, 140 kilometres an hour. That's where most of the fun is to be had. Past that, it's kind of academic.
Fair enough.
And like when
especially as a road car, 100% agree.
When I had my 993, we did some country runs with the Porsche Club, and we were up into the double digits sort of thing.
Sure.
And we were flying.
Yeah.
And I kind of going, it wasn't that satisfying. So I used to really enjoy the track they had at the Perth airport.
Sure.
Because it was all sort of second and third gear. I've done it for years.
Mm-hmm.
All right. It was all sort of second and third gear, and then that long run down the straight.
Mm-hmm.
And that, for me, I find highly satisfying. And if you're driving around the streets, it really is the ability to rev a car out and say first, second, third is entertainment.
Yep, it is. And look, on that topic, that very topic you're talking about there about the reward of vehicle experience, right? Modern cars, and when I say modern, I'd say this is really only probably the last 30 years or so, vehicles' performance in review has typically, a measurement has been at 0 to 100 kilometres an hour or 0 to 62 miles an hour acceleration.
Yes.
Okay?
Yep.
I think it undervalues the car. I believe the real value in the car as a driving experience, not as a performance metric, but as a how you feel when you drive the car, is from about 50 kilometres an hour acceleration through to about 150 kilometres an hour.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that shift the 100 Ks or the 62 miles an hour up the scale, 50 mile an hour is 30...
Not much. Yeah.
Mile an hour. I'm just trying to do the conversion.
A lot of miles an hour.
Yeah, other listeners. So that's sort of like 30 to 95 mile an hour compared to the 50 to 150. So that's where, when you're on the run already, because when you're a road driver, except for a stop sign or a traffic light, you're not at a standstill. If you're out driving in the hills, how fast a car launches off the line's not important.
No, it's not.
It's how you work, like you mentioned before, on the cam, or if it's in a rev range that suits that particular motor, whether it's a 4-litre 6-cylinder, or if it's a 4-litre 4-cylinder, or if it's a 4-litre V8 twin turbo, like most modern performance cars are now. or if it's a big block 6.4 litre 427, 429 Cobra Jet, whatever it is. Being in the right zone for that particular car, that's where I believe the reward is for those vehicles,
Yeah.
For, classic car ownership.
When you start to look at things like early Cooper S's and small engine cars like possibly a Baths and, the things like early Fiats that...
sure.
And you've got to wring its neck. Mm-hmm. I really like that.
Yeah, everyone loves wringing the neck out. Well, I hope everyone loves it.
And it's kind of like...
Especially the early twin cam cars, like the Alphas.
Fabulous. And that's the threshold of enjoyment is not... So if I did McLaren, I go, where do you find the threshold of enjoyment? It's
a
way
long
too
way
high.
away. Yeah. That's right. Yeah,
so
I agree.
So why do you own a car?
Hang on, wait. Any McLaren owners out there, look, we're not being overly critical. We'd love to borrow a car for the weekend. Let us judge for ourselves.
It's not like I've got a couple of McLarens in the driveway here. I'll show you what I've got in the driveway later, and it's definitely not a McLaren. But my point is, for me, it's about the drive. It's about the sound.
Yep.
It's about the vibrations that cars make, the power delivery, the steering input, and the instantaneous nature of the change of direction. Now, the thing about 911s, they almost they move from the hip. There's that. It's nothing has ever felt like my 993 to me. No other sports car I've driven. The way it changed direction was unique. I find it hard to put into words.
Firstly, did any viewers of this would notice each time he mentions a Porsche product, he points at me.
Ferdinand.
993.
Ferdinand.
Yeah. But no, all joking aside, I completely understand. And I actually did a 964 Carrera RS tribute car review on the weekend.
All right.
So I 100% understand what you're talking about, And I think it's to do with the fact that, in all reality, and I've noticed this in a few model cars, a Datsun 240Z is not too dissimilar.
Yeah.
And I think it might have something to do with
design.
where the pivot points of the suspension lie, which is not far from your bottom in a general, you know what I mean? It might be something to do with that, the whole long bonnet, everything, the business bonnet.
Like with
those? Yeah, the Z4, didn't you, if I recall?
Yeah, BMW Z4M.
Similar sort of experience where the back wheels are literally under your bottom.
Like here.
Yeah, that's right. And so it may have something to do with that,
Maybe, yeah.
And like people rave about AMG GTs, which is a much more modern, again, 4-litre V8 twin-turbo car. Again, it's that whole long bonnet. Front mid-engine is probably the best description of it. And the back wheels are literally right here.
Yeah.
And I've been fortunate enough to drive a 300 SL Gullwing in the past.
How fabulous.
Again, very similar experience because of that whole sitting on the back wheels. I wonder if that could have the seat of the pants.
Well, it's obviously going to change your perspective as the thing changes direction.
But in saying that, minis are unbelievable.
Yeah. Fun per kilometre up there.
Very few cars
and
about.
And then it brings back, why do we own these things?
Fun.
It has to be fun. If it's not fun. So then I go, and when the supercars rock up at Classic Cars and Coffee and there's a row of
modern supercars.
I kind of get a bit jaundiced. I kind of go, is that a Lamborghini or a Ferrari? I can't tell anymore.
Come on, Paul. It's Classic Cars and Coffee. Come on, mate. Come on.
Toss of Cars and Coffee.
Look, I haven't gone that far. But, don't get me wrong. They may be a classic in the future, but it's not in ours.
No. Look, it's also about understanding. So I reckon if if I was like the Ferrari dealer's son and I had access to them all, I would understand the nuances and I'd have my favourites, and each one would have a different feeling about how it delivered its power and the steering input and the gear gate and all of the different things that make up the pleasure of driving something. And I'd be different. I just don't. So I look at them all and I go, they just confuse me. And maybe I'm getting old.
I've got to tell you what. I'll tell you what I think it is.
Go on.
It's where your actual interests lie, and it could be a generational thing.
I think it is.
I'm you convinced. Are a complete nutcase for what I don't understand of pommy cars.
I quite like
for international listeners. I'm talking English cars here, right?
Yeah.
I know, you're mad for them, right? You can't help yourself.
I do like a Swedish car.
Yeah, I do know, and we'll come to that shortly. But I know a good English car, you go a little bit jelly at the knees, okay?
I do like a good German car too. In fact, one of my mates said that I was an automotive slut. And I said, well, that's probably, that sentence is one word too long,
Yeah. Now, automotive is completely acceptable.
So, I for me, it's like one big smorgasbord.
Sure.
And
sure.
I'm starting at one end of the smorgasbord, and I'm kind of tasting everything as I go through it before I hop off the other end.
Sure. Now, just while I brought up pommy cars.
Yes.
Paul, who I mentioned earlier, organiser of Classic Cars and Coffee. He's also a classic car broker here in Perth, right?
That's different to a wrecker. It's not braking.
Got an email today from him for a 1954 or 55 Caversham.
Oh, I saw that, the green thing.
Yes.
Fiberglass body, JPM.
Looked very attractive to me.
Oh,
and
you're
it's
sick.
What are you talking about? It is an affordable one-off or one of seven, right? On an Austin body chassis.
Look, I've been there. I've been down this journey.
I know you have with the mouse, right? But do you know what you couldn't do to the mouse that I could do with this?
Road license it.
LS conversion.
Oh, no way. That thing would do flips instead of go forward,
Hey, but you'd be loved there to see it, wouldn't you?
I'd come on, I'd pay to watch that. Yeah. It's like, this thing is
It's got a steel rail chassis. Yeah. It's no different from a Corvette.
Or a Cobra.
It is literally a fiberglass body on a steel rail chassis.
Yeah. Who's the guy that does the work for...
Good 9-inch in the back.
Yeah.
Tremec or a top loader, 5-speed, horrifically large motor under the hood.
No.
That's it. That's lighter than the 4-cylinder Austin motor in
A
it.
3-litre that revs. You're going...
Oh, what's wrong with the 6-litre that revs?
He has a suicide wish. It's like...
on 155 cross-ply tyres.
Right. Oh, dear. That past the use-by date as well.
Yeah, of course they are. Well, you're not going to do it otherwise, are you?
Oh, yes.
But anyway, look, the point I'm making is I thought it was good value for money. It probably needs about 10 to 20 grand of work, don't get me wrong, but at the end of the day, the finished product's price far exceeds its value in my eyes.
I think the opposite.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think you start with, pardon me, censor alert, you start with a heap of shit and you do all of this work, because really this was the story of the White Mouse.
Sure.
A car that raced in the 1927 Australian Grand Prix,
great
history, a monoposto,
it's a much more
aluminium body,
modern car, but you keep going,
special.
yeah.
Okay. So you get all of that, and then you pour tens of thousands of dollars into a restoration, and you end up with something that drives like a heap of shit.
So, are you talking about, we're not actually polishing a turd here, we're rolling it in glitter?
Yeah, wow. Nice. It's particularly if you put an American motor, it'll be lots of glitter.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah.
But anyway, I saw it and I thought, ooh.
Control yourself.
Oh, don't worry, I'm not going out and doing it, Simon. I just thought it looked like a potential project.
Yeah.
And as far as projects go, it is only as expensive
as you want to make it.
No, not just that. To buy it today, it's half the price of what an unfinished Cobra project would be. And let's face it, it's probably not going to drive that much different.
I disagree totally. Like, years ago, I took one of those Mick Moylan, the guy that does a silo. He was making Cobras for quite a few years. One of the first guys in Western Australia.
What were they? What was it based on? What chassis was it based on?
He made a chassis for it.
Oh, okay. Well, that could be a whole different thing.
It wasn't the Toyota Crown thing.
I've had a lot of experience in Cobras, so just the only reason I asked.
Anyway, so I went and drove it. It had a 302 top loader, four-wheel jag back end.
Sure.
And it was a very sophisticated and balanced car. Probably drove much better than the original Cobra ever would. And, I fanged it around the wheat belt for an afternoon and took it back to him.
Oh, is this one of the Calabaran cars?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And it was a very nice car.
RMC, Replica Motor Car Company.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yep.
Very nice car.
I did a lot of electrical work on all those cars.
All right.
I did back in the day, when I worked for video.
It had a purpose-built chassis.
It did.
The jag back end's fabulous.
No one's put more money into the development of a motor vehicle.
Wow.
And got less return than that company.
Yeah.
But that's the nature of motor vehicle manufacture. So I've had a bit of experience with those RMC cars.
Right.
And they are incredibly well-made cars, underrated, and probably the only car that I'd say compares to it with the Cobra-style cars would be the Robnell cars out of Victoria. Yep.
Right.
Comparable product. They're not really based on another chassis with a drop-on body. They're more of a built as a complete motor vehicle, you know?
Years ago, I went to Brooklands Motor Company in Melbourne.
Sure.
And there was a guy, and he deals in Astons and stuff, you know. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if he's still around, actually. Anyway, I haven't seen him advertising for a few years. Anyway, out the back was a guy that used to build Type 35B Bugatti replicas.
Really?
And they were exquisite. Like, I mean...
What's he knock out, like one every 2 years or something like that? Yeah, okay.
And they will be pre-sold.
Sure.
And he used to use a Holden grey motor with a Repco head on them because these things had they sounded like a Bugatti, like tearing material out. Mm-hmm. Sort of sound.
Yeah.
And I remember spending an afternoon with... I can't remember the guy's name. I was... it's probably 30 years ago or something.
Sure. And
I spent an afternoon with him. We were just pouring all over this. It was a work of art. And, would give immense satisfaction, but not be that fast.
Yeah. Look, the speed thing, I drive a slow car with my 356.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Slow by every metric you can measure it, unless it is of the era.
Indeed.
Okay? Mm. But I'll have to say, the sensation and reward that is within the realms of acceptability out on the open road, incredible. And the Mini Cooper S, as you mentioned earlier, similar sort of car. Different type of feel, but the outcome is very similar. And I think this is where the classics are really going to come into their own as we evolve to faster.
That seems to be the way it's going.
And like I said, electric cars are taking that fast thing out of the discussion altogether. Like I mentioned to you in the past that I've reviewed the Porsche Taycan. I've driven a number of Teslas. The launch, you do it once and go, oh, yeah, I feel a bit sick after that. I won't do that again. So it's not really a feature or an aspect of the vehicle you take advantage of. It's hence my point earlier about the whole 50 to 150 speed entertains me more than the 0 to 100 speed.
I tend to agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah, and so the cars, which sort of we're circling around here a bit, the sensation a car gives you, now whether that is in a Monaro, a Tirana, a Volvo, a Mini, a Porsche, whatever it is, a 993 or a G Series 911, it doesn't matter as long as it gives you the joy of rev matching that downshift or slamming it through the gears, or you've gone to the trouble of fitting a sequential gearbox or you bought a Group B rally replica or whatever it is that you've done, For me, that's really where the joy of the classic car is,
It's involvement.
Of course it is, yeah. And I think people look more and more for that in cars as we evolve to whatever the new normal is in motor cars.
It's interesting, as we become more comfortable. There's a whole society, technology drives. It's this constant drive to make things easier, and as they get easier and easier, you're losing control of more and more. So let's say cars of the 60s, 70s, 80s, and there's no ABS. The steering input is, visceral, and all of those. You've got a lot of sensations going on that make up the experience. So, take a modern day Hyundai, Toyota Corolla, or any of those things. They'd probably lap Bathurst quicker than a Falcon GTHO did.
I've no doubt they do.
But the level of for day to day, it boils down to the way things make you feel, and it's the involvement and the sound. There's so much about they still travel over a certain distance in a given time, but it's the way it happens. That's what it's all boils down to for me.
Now, these vehicle manufacturers in the past have all had to work within the limitations you and I have an imagination to surpass right now, okay?
Yes.
What cars have been built with a motor that we would choose otherwise?
Oh, well, the top of that list,
Top of the list, everyone. Let's hear
for
it.
me, genius, amazing work of art, the Citroen DS, the Goddess,
Sure.
with a crappy old engine that dated back to 1930s. So you've got this
The traction engine.
Yeah, pretty much.
It is.
So it is. So you've got this spaceship on wheels
Amazing
that was
looking
launched
car,
in
isn't it?
Paris Motor Show, and
Timeless design.
timeless, but also threw itself into the future with both hands, and then powered by an
A turd.
archaic. So I've often looked at that and I thought, pretty much.
Well, what would you put in it?
Oh well, there's an endless choice of sweet 4-cylinder motors. Probably even something like I'm not sure what they're called. M104s, the BMW 2-litre engine that went in the 2002 that ended up being a 1.5-litre turbocharged Grand Prix engine. The same engine.
Sure, but the car you're talking about is a wafter.
But okay, so
Am I,
any engine would be an
was-
improvement over what was in it.
No, I do not deny. But I feel like a very large capacity, low ring, effortless motor would suit a DS better than a small capacity engine. That
say
wouldn't
a
be
big-
with the
a
French
big
thing,
four.
you know what I mean?
Long
Yeah,
stroke.
Yeah, sure, big four.
Long
yeah.
stroke.
Say 2.5 litre-ish
Yeah.
type, 3 litre-ish.
Yeah, long stroke, big
Yeah,
four
you might be right.
would be the choice.
Stunning car that was let down by a drivetrain, essentially.
Oh, well, I think the gearbox and the front suspension, and in fact, the suspension was just mind-bending.
Yes.
With all those spheres,
Yeah.
the 4 spheres and the tubes connecting everything. It's just like, whoa,
Yeah, let's
incredible
overthink
stuff.
Let's overthink something.
Yeah, and
And then produce it.
yeah, indeed, and then power it by something that was designed in the 1930s.
Yeah, it's pretty that aspect.
They obviously
of
ran
that
out of money. That's what it was.
All the money was put into the suspension.
Well, yeah, and that body, the way that the panels came off, and
Sure.
and the wacky steering wheel, and the lights that turned with the steering wheel, and so much good thinking in one car.
No doubt. It is a cracker. I don't have much experience, but absolutely have amazing memories of the 3-litre, I think it was 3-litre, V6, that Cologne V6 using the Capris.
Okay, so there were 2 V6s. The one that most 90% of them came with was called an Essex V6.
Sure,
Okay,
sure.
so it had a cast iron block and
Yeah.
cast iron cylinder heads, and
Which meant it lasted.
just crazy heavy for what it was. And
Would have been bulletproof, though.
Glenn Seaton's dad used to race one, Bo Seaton.
Okay.
And a bit of a legend with them, but only now, in sort of recent years, has the technology been around how to get the cylinder heads to work and the flow and all the rest of it.
Yeah, sure.
But in their day, I don't think they were a great car or a great engine.
I have a great memory of how they sounded.
Oh, yeah.
They were great. They were like, it's the only V6 I think of
Yeah.
that's, to me, sounded like a mini V8.
Yeah.
It might have been because the firing order, I don't know, because it was in my youth, obviously, those Capris,
Yeah.
that came to Australia or were built in Geelong, actually.
Yeah.
I think of those cars and I think, they sound
Oh, it was a
amazing.
sexy bit of kit in their day. But that's not a great engine, I don't think.
No, but I think when I hear it, I think, it's a great sounding car, and...
The Cologne ones were German,
Yeah, sure.
which is later. I think they were 2.8 litre.
Yeah, but that brings me back to the conversation we had earlier about the sensations. It doesn't
absolutely.
have to go like the classics.
Exactly. So what is the value of the car ownership
That's
experience?
right, yeah.
And it's not about 0 to 60.
So if that's the case, that motor to me was an oral,
Delight.
physical
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest with you, I know we spoke about it earlier and you're sort of about it, about the muscle car stuff, but the Windsor V8s, the 302 and the Windsor 351 motors, which are not very common,
Yeah.
amazing sounding cars.
Well,
I own a Clevo myself, you know what I mean, a 351 Clevo, but the Windsor motors, I always loved how revvy they were and how great they sounded,
I absolutely believe one of the greatest engines ever designed was the Windsor. It went from Indianapolis to winning Le Mans. Mm-hmm. It's done everything. And in terms of capacity, like down to the first one, I think was 262 cubic inches, and right up to the 351s. I'm not sure if they made a 390 in the Windsor, but that is an engine that's done everything, and it's what they call thin wall casting. So it's actually for a V8 it's quite light.
Sure.
And I think I told you the story about the Capri Piranha.
Sure, the
made in
Piranhas,
Africa.
yeah.
So you could throw out that Essex V6,
Sure,
and you could put in the 302
or the Kent 1.6.
the 289 Windsor actually.
Yeah.
And
Mustang engine.
It put on 5 kilograms, like it's a bag of potatoes.
Yeah.
And you just got
And doubled or tripled the horsepower.
Yeah, it was just amazing. I had 6 of those.
Wowza. Okay. Yeah.
I used to bring them in from Africa as a, for punishment.
Yeah.
Anything you buy out of Africa is
punishment.
held together with fencing wire and gutter bolts. That's
Love South Africa.
Love South Africa.
Glad you're all listening.
Biggest audience. and they're good gutter bolts.
Yeah, incredible.
Some of the best fencing wire I've ever pulled out of a car.
They are. Look, there is a very strong automotive enthusiasm in that country.
Yeah, they
great history. They had a Grand Prix, if I recall.
The Kailami. The tradition with Jaguars in Africa is really big, and there's that company that restores Jaguars.
I didn't know.
World renowned, yeah.
Okay, I didn't know.
And
that.
the editor of Octane magazine, Robert Coucher, was brought up in Cape Town,
sure,
and tells fabulous stories about his father's Lancia, is Aurelia, and his dad had a 356.
Aurelias are unbelievable,
stunning
cars, yeah.
and beautifully engineered. That little 60-degree V6, and, beautiful
single head.
Yes, and how wacky is that? I love that.
Oh, they did it with the fours as well in the Fulvias too.
Yes.
1.3 litre Fulvia.
And so, there's a great history, but they used to produce BMWs in Cape Town as well.
Okay.
They had a BMW factory there, and they made VWs there as well.
Well, they made them everywhere, didn't they? Let's face it.
Yeah, it's true.
How many countries they didn't make V-dubs in?
So Robert Coucher tells a lot of He's was the editor of Octane. He's now their international correspondent for Chardonnay consumption. And he tells these terrific stories of his father's cars, because his father had a Bentley Continental, and they had an E-Type, and these little boy growing up and experiencing all these great cars when they were current. And he went on to start Octane magazine with a Rowan Atkinson and a Rob Bell and
fantastic
Derek Bell rather, and a whole amazing group of people.
Mm-hmm. What other motors do you think belong in different cars?
Oh, I've prattled about this before, but I'm a terrific fan of that Jaguar 3-litre V6, the one that was in the X and the S class that they put in the Mazda Escape.
Yeah, okay.
And there's some Ford Lincolns that have it in the States.
What about the Busso V6?
Oh, man, now that's a good sounding thing.
It sounds amazing. Oh. Now, imagine if it put out the horsepower it sounded like it should.
Well, there is a 3.2 version, which is in the Alpha 90.
Is that another 4 horsepower?
Yeah, maybe.
But the Busso motor is a great sounding car, isn't it?
I love one. And the way that all the inlet tubes are all
great looking
on
thing,
the top,
isn't it?
and fabulous. Yeah. Fabulous. And
all show.
Yeah, but enough go.
Yeah, it's
enough
excellent.
go.
Yeah, this is a good point.
Enough go.
Yeah. But the Jag motor in the MX-5s, you think, or the Miatas?
Yeah, that's they call those Rocketeers, and that's worth looking up. The guys have made carbon fibre inlet manifolds for them, and specially baffled sumps,
light
so they
motor,
sit lower. Very light, all alloy, designed by Porsche and Yamaha. A joint deal between Porsche and Yamaha. Porsche never used the engine, then they sold it to Jaguar, and then Ford bought Jaguar, and then it ended up in all the Lincolns in the United States. So quite plentiful, but they rev their box off, and they're a real sporting engine. So I dig those. I also like little Windsors.
Yeah,
love little Windsors.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
And if you're talking about pommy stuff, I wouldn't hesitate to put an old Volvo motor in a MGB or something like that.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
Now we turboed.
They do need something.
They do indeed. We turboed just recently. I just sold a manual 5-speed Volvo 240 Volvo station wagon. The brick. Anyway, we turbocharged it, Alex Labal and myself, and I was more the checkbook than the spanner man. And I was shocked the mid-range punch on that thing for a little 2.4 litre or 2.3 4-cylinder, 8-port, 8-valve, single ordinary port engine. That thing, the mid-range punch for overtaking, astounding.
Well, the Euros, particularly the northern Euros, have always been a big fan on that overtake speed, that 80 to 130 type.
Yeah.
Like Saabs were renowned for it, those Saab 900s and 9000s.
Slippery buggers.
Yeah. But those cars were renowned for holding records of the fastest speed between 80 and 130 and that sort of thing, But, look, you put a snail on any motor, it's pretty much going to be better than what it was.
It's the first time I've ever done it, and I've got to say it was a great experience. I'd probably do it again.
Yeah, good to hear. And got anything in mind?
No, I've got to behave. Seriously, I've just bought you don't know this, confession time. If, there should be a curtain between us so I can confess my sins. Father, forgive me for I have sinned. I did buy a Land Rover Defender 90.
Oh, nice one.
And, you're talking about...
It's not parked out the front, everyone.
It's not. It's at the office undercover. Because why would you leave a rugged four-wheel drive out in the rain?
Yeah, on the curb.
It's a Heritage clone. It has all the things that Heritage model has. It is a beautiful thing, but it annoys me.
They're so expensive for what they are, Simon.
I could tell you.
But they look good.
They look awesome.
Tough as.
People come up to me and go, that is the cool... I get thumbs up, cool car. And I'm going, you should drive it.
It's terrible,
The driving position...
Can someone just give me an automatic gearbox on one of these things?
The gear change.
Why didn't we get autos in Australia? They got autos in the States.
Do they really?
Yeah.
Don't know, because men in Australia,
Yeah, look, I've got to be honest with you. I've driven cars long enough. I'm not going to assess anyone's manhood by their ability to use a clutch.
It is quite satisfying when you get the gear changed right on it. But it's like, it is a bit of a lottery whether you're going to.
Oh, look, I've driven early Range Rovers that are actually worse than early Defenders. Yeah, the gear knob's like this long, isn't it?
Yeah, hang on. You're like...
Yeah, that's right.
Bit of that.
Don't hit yourself in the ear.
Yeah.
When you're finding
So anyway, we bought a camper trailer, and the idea is we're going to head bush.
Camper trailer on a 90?
Yeah. It's
camp trailer's bigger than the car.
Oh, well, I'll show you the camper trailer later. It's a beautiful thing. It's got it's like origami. It goes...
Yeah.
And then you've got this...
it's a 4x2.
It is amazing. So I think what's going to happen is we'll flick the Defender.
Yeah, sure.
And keep the camper trailer. And then I've got some ambitions to buy a Toyota Hiace KDH 211, which has all the mechanicals. So it's a Hiace. They're a foot wider than the ones you can buy here.
They are.
They're about a foot higher.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Ash has just brought one in out at WA Filter Supplies. I'm going to have a look at. Anyway, they have all the mechanicals out of that super hot 3-litre diesel turbo Hilux.
Sure.
The one that everybody wants.
Yeah.
So they go like a cut snake. And
as much as a cut snake diesel.
That's an Australianisms.
Yeah.
No, they reckon 300 horsepower. Now, that's quite a lot in a van.
Yeah. It might be a little bit too much, especially when you're sitting on the front wheels.
It could be. But they've got twin airbags. Sorry, I didn't mean that. They've got twin airbags. Anyway, so we're going to, as for a sort of I could throw surfboards in it, I can throw mountain bikes, we can, travel to towns and muck around, and if we can't get a hotel room, well, buddy, keep in the back of the Hiace.
As an ex-Volkswagen Transporter owner,
oh, really?
I've owned 3 of them. I'm a big sympathiser of the van, what I mean? Because firstly, compared to, here in Australia, any international listeners, we love a ute, which is a tray-back truck, right?
God's gift to Australians.
Yeah, but you can't put anything in the back if you want to leave it.
Yeah, that's right.
So the van, lock it or hit the button on your key fob and the thing's locked up and everything in it's safe,
Yeah.
And again, I've owned half a dozen utes. I'd have to have, Fords, Holdens, everything. And, the van is definitely a lot more convenient to own than the ute, and to me it's a similar tool.
It offers me all sorts of flexibility around throwing stuff in it.
Sure.
Particularly surfboards and wetsuits and not having to worry about anything.
Just for your own experience here, right? From my own experience, I bought the Transporter instead of the Toyota because you sit in between the wheels instead of on top of them. and it makes a big difference to the comfort on the open road.
All right. That is interesting. So it had transported the wheels in front of you because with the
is.
high ace, it's here.
It's literally under your bottom.
Yeah, it is, just right here.
Unlike the rear wheels that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah. Couldn't get any further away from those rear
That's
wheels.
right.
Yeah.
Yep. So, just to let you know, there's a big difference in the drivability.
So it had transported the wheels in front?
It is, yes.
Wow, I'm going to have to have a look. I'm going to have to notice. I'm going to have to pay attention.
Oh, as soon as you see it, you go, oh, yeah, that's right, yeah. Well, they've actually got a bonnet instead of just a wall waiting for you to impact.
So that transporter. Because
You're thinking combi, obviously.
I am.
No, I'm talking...
But, the water-cooled combi.
I'm talking modern
Right, okay. Because they were called transporters too, I thought.
They were, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. They're only called combi outside of Germany.
Oh, is that right?
Yep.
Well, there's a useless fact. So,
I'm full of them.
I quite like those things too, but I don't understand them. So I'd feel very comfortable about Toyota if I'm going bush.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
The overall, I'd have to say the experience of ownership, I would buy another one.
Oh, right. How about that?
Yep.
So go back to popular engine swaps or engines you have a hankering for.
Yep. I absolutely love a Lancia twin cam motor.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're good in Lancias.
I think they'd be pretty good in something like a Fiat 850.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, and Fiat 850s are pretty rare cars these days in Australia. I cannot remember the last time I saw one, right?
I remember, sorry,
these are funny snail hatchback things.
Segue. When we were doing classic car rallies in the early years,
early 90s,
it's going back 30 years, right? Mm-hmm. And there was a guy who had an 850 Fiat, not the sport one, but it had a sort of a coupé back thing.
Yeah, they all do. Yeah,
he had figured out that there was the cylinder head off one of these micro Japanese
K cars or something.
Yeah, K car Honda 360.
Yeah.
Was the bulb holes
was line up with that.
You were able to put that on top. So he was experimenting with this
How'd it go?
Honda cylinder head. It was still shit.
Yeah, okay.
But it was I just love his enthusiasm and eccentricity for giving it a go.
Look, I think there is definitely some eccentricity in Fiat ownership.
Definitely.
Right? I condone it. I love it, right? Whenever I see a Zagato Italian car.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Fiat, Lancia, Alfa, anything like that, right?
Lombardi, the little 850 Lombardi. Oh, man, they're beautiful.
Yeah,
Stunning
beautiful.
little car.
Anything with a double bubble, I'm up for, right? But that aside, I still think there's got to be 850s in backyards somewhere that people gave up on. You just don't see them anymore, do you?
Yeah, I think they've turned to dust.
Same with 124 Sport. Coupes.
Yeah, they're the same.
When did you last see one on the road? Tell me.
All that Russian steel and
yeah, but you
crappy,
know what? There are other.
Even
I saw a Lada Neva the other day, for Christ's sake.
Even
the cars are out there. You know.
Rusted. Yeah, true. There's that guy in North Fremantle who's got a whole row of Fiat 130s. You know, the big saloon with the V6 Ferrari bottom end.
But those little. Hang on. The 130 also came in that little four-cylinder. They all rallied, didn't they? Is that 130?
No.
Is that
I'm thinking of the limo.
Yeah, I thought a 130 was the.
I don't know. What do you call the big limos then? I think the
the
Pininfarina body one, and then they made the one with the magnificent blue velour interiors, velvet interiors.
Someone will tell us in the comments. Can you let us know? They
were the equivalent, the Mercedes BMW Challenger.
I do know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Handsome car actually.
Yeah.
But once again, made of that same
rubbish
steel.
Yeah, cardboard.
Yeah. I remember stories of there was a guy in Perth. I've forgotten his name now. He restored a very nice 2416. Okay, and we got to look inside it, and the quality of the workmanship and the paint finishing and the attention to detail was poor, really poor.
But it was in line with how the car left the factory, no doubt.
Well, exactly. This is before he went through and did a thorough job and built it how it should have been built.
I've had a very close look at a Lamborghini Espada.
Same deal?
Incredibly, firstly, to me, not an attractive car. Okay,
I'd have one in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I know you would, but you love the kooky stuff.
Yeah, I do. I love the kooky stuff.
Yeah, it's right up your alley.
Right up my alley.
Yeah,
they're an event on wheels.
They are that. It's a big car, you know.
It's huge.
A massive car. And I did a little bit of work on one in the past. Look behind the dash of one of those cars, my friend, and you're going to see the finest of Italian craftsmanship. It's no Mona Lisa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It's no David in Florence. It is literally 3 p.m. on a Friday afternoon with 3 bottles of red after a big lunch.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's the only way to describe this car. And the metalwork.
Yeah.
Oh. But
you know,
great sounding car, right?
They reckon the perfect car would be designed by probably the Italians. The interior would be English. The actual manufacture would be in Germany.
Yeah, yeah.
And be powered by an American engine.
Yeah, that sounds like a Pantera.
Well, yeah, maybe.
A Di Tommaso Pantera.
Yeah, Pantera. Yeah.
Have you ever had the opportunity to be in one?
No, I've never been in a Pantera. I've driven a Mangusta.
Yeah, okay.
Before,
yeah, very similar.
which is horrendous. Mm-hmm. Literally, you know that sensation if you pick up a bag of onions.
Yeah, yeah.
And everything goes. It's like this. You're sort of almost in control of something.
Yes,
and it's held together by the parameters of the bag.
Of the net.
It's the same.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Yeah, I've driven probably about 4 Panteras. Mm-hmm. And I'd have to say only one of them was average. Every other one of them, you mentioned that driving an Espada would be an event, right? This is a whole different stratosphere. This is what Ferrari of the era should have been.
Right.
It's the only way for me to describe it.
Yeah.
You know, I've driven older Ferraris. I know how average the interiors are. It's got the shifter, the Pantera's got the shifter, it's got the radio the wrong way, it's got it's got everything that an Italian car has of the era. But my goodness, does it go and turn? And it shouldn't. You know, it's mathematically nothing's right on the thing, but it's a great motor car. And
the Pantera had a chassis. I don't think the Mangusta actually had one.
Sure.
It was a chocolate milk carton or something.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, but the Panteras, I was very impressed by it. And I think only recently they've really come into their own and appreciated how good they are.
They were sort of on the fringe. They were sort of viewed as you'd look down at.
And look, they've never been cheap. Let's face it. Yeah.
Oh, I reckon they were cheap. For that much glamour and that much go.
Yeah, okay.
And you've got
the metal was terrible, as we discussed earlier. Every good Pantera has had pretty much every panel replaced by something modern. Yeah.
I'd find space in my garage for one, if there was any space in my garage.
Speaking of which, we should do a walk around.
Well, let's do that.
Yep.
This is the place I come to be a man and do manly things.
I'm just going to grab the camera.
This is a 1967-68 Volvo 123 GT. Now, they delivered 85 123 GTs to Australia, so it's a sporting version of the 122S Volvo. Fabulously successful rally car in Europe and in Africa. Won a lot of rallies in its day, but famous for its rugged build quality and the fanaticism of the Swedes. Anyway, this car was built by Hans Appelgert. He's the Husqvarna importer of Australia, and he built this to do the London to Sydney rally, and he did Targa Tasmania in 2015, and he did 2 high country rallies. So it's a CAMS logbooked historic rally car. So it's a Targa car, and
it's all business. Hey, wait, what's going on over here?
Okay, so this is the tragic thing about classic car ownership. My wife has to walk past this every day. And this poor girl. So what we have here is all the bits that one has when you run an international rally car.
Does the car fit on this trailer?
Yeah, it does. So you've got 5 engine blocks, overdrive electronic gearbox, 2 Volvo 140 front ends with disc brakes and proper suspension, all the rest of it, because this car runs all Volvo 140 running gear. And alternators and carburetors and you name it, there's so much that. I spoke to him today, and I said, what's it cost to replace it? And he said, probably 100 in real money. and then you've got hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of development and sourcing and problem solving and all the rest of it.
Okay, now I'm just going to stop for a sec. We've got listeners, not just viewers here, right?
Right, okay.
Let's describe the car.
Okay, so, well, first if you...
It's red.
It's red.
Ruby red, very similar to my 356, actually.
Actually, it is too.
Yep.
You've got a car which is basically...
It's pre-brick.
Well, Volvo wanted to break into the American market. So the car before this was a copy of the 1944 model Ford. No, sorry, 48 Ford.
Yep.
And that was a shrunk version. So this is very American-esque.
It does. It is
style. So
for sure.
Bins,
particularly the front.
The bonnet is sort of all these things are American-esque, but on a smaller scale. And it was a massive hit. It was the first car, so it's sporting, European, but with a high degree of safety standards. But I just love the way the Swedes were bolting things together. The integrity is just off the scale. Everything they touch, they did properly.
Sure.
Very much like most of the German stuff. And I really dig that. They also, there's a sort of like a underdog thing to them. They go much better than they have the right to. They really are fabulous. One of these, there's a powder blue one that Ashley Yelds runs, and he's just won the historic section of Target Tasmania this year.
Oh, really? In this? Okay,
yeah,
no, 1, 2, 3
So
GT.
it's the one with powder blue. It's got the orange stripes
Sure.
down the middle.
Bit of golf, golf action going on.
So
Yeah.
it's a pretty famous car, and he's a good peddler.
Yeah,
but
sure.
that beat loads of
Oh, you can imagine, yeah, for sure.
And incredibly exotic stuff. And it's all about balance. They've got a 50-50 weight distribution.
Really?
Yeah. And
how much weight's in the back of this thing? Oh, what's it powered by?
It's this one has a what they call a big block, 2.4. And
big block 2.4. Yeah, okay.
Standard would be what they call a B20 engine, which is 2 litres.
Sure.
And this one's running Webers and super hot cam and big
sure.
valves, all of that stuff.
It's got the holes in the roof, good rally action.
That's your air conditioning.
Internally, right, I've already had a bit of a look, but I'll do the talk through now. Looks like a non-standard gearbox.
So it's a Toyota Supra.
Toyota Supra gearbox, yeah, sure. And that's still fine for eligibility for classic racing. It's got a couple of Sparko racing seats in it. One's the size of a small elephant.
Intercom?
Yep. Yeah, full intercom. This is full race car inside. Okay, full cage. Front half looks bolt-in. Oh no, the whole thing's bolt-in.
Yep.
Okay.
By bond.
Yep. You're not fitting much luggage in the back. It's got a fuel cell in the boot. Let's have a look under the bonnet. It's got alloy wheels. So
it's got a fog maker, so fire suppression system inside the cabin and under the engine bay.
Under the engine bay, yep. What are those carbs? Are they Webers? Side brake Webs?
They're a Japanese version of a Weber. So it's a modern day Weber.
Yeah, what do they call? What's the brand?
OER.
Okay, I've never heard of that before.
And it's basically it's a copy.
So it's a big 2.4, you said, didn't you?
Yeah, 2.4 litre.
Yeah, sure.
But it's so beautifully balanced, and the power delivery once again is it's exquisite.
This might need a separate video on my YouTube channel, I think.
Once when I take it out, we'll do a little bit on it. But you'll be shocked.
There's no shortage of braided lines in here. There's some money being spent on this car.
Well, yeah.
Those wheels off a 242 GT?
They are indeed. And of course, there's 10 of them.
Is there really? Where do you find 10 242 GT wheels?
I don't know. Hands dig.
Yeah, evidently.
Hands.
And let's have a look in the back here. Oh, good old-fashioned handle for the boot. Big, CAMS compliant fuel cell and filter by the looks of it.
You got it. And proper
spare wheel.
Electronic fuel pumps.
Got semi-slicks on it too. Have a look at these bad boys.
Yeah.
And, okay, for viewers, here's a phone number if you want to buy this car, because I know Simon wants to sell it. And right now, I'm going to tell you, I'm half a starter, Simon.
I've got a...
this could be the type of race car I'd be happy to crash, because inevitably I would.
I've got 6 cars at the moment.
Where are they all parked, Simon?
Well, I've got a couple at work, and the Lotus is in the UK.
Yeah.
Before it comes out here, and Yeah, I've got enough on my plate, and plus my wife and I wouldn't mind these 2 parking bays back.
I can imagine. Yeah. Yeah, that's like I've got to be honest with you. My biggest concern is this trailer full of spares. Oh, hang on. It's actually one of those flip-down trailers too, so it makes it easy to load and unload. Yeah, okay, good one.
Yeah, so it's a tilt trailer.
Yeah, good one.
And it has all the... This started life as a road-going car.
Oh, my goodness.
What a 1, 2, 3
Do you think it could ever be road-going again?
Yeah, in here, that section there is the original seats, back and front,
sure.
and all the things that make it a 1, 2, 3 GT.
Okay, good one.
Yeah, these are the springs for the Tiger Tasmania. At the moment, it's got springs that were for the Victorian High Country Tigers.
Yeah, sure.
As an example, today I was looking. It's got MCS suspension. Each shock absorber on each corner is $3,000. There's $12,000 worth of shock absorbers in this car.
I don't know which is more concerning, the fact that someone spent $12,000 on shock absorbers on a Volvo or...
When I was talking to Hans, I said, if you're sitting next to your wife, you don't need to answer this question. And his wife started laughing. I said, what would it cost to build it today? And he intimated that it was around 100 grand if you were to set out to build this.
All right, then it's pretty impressive, I've got to be honest with you. And
so we'll go for a drive next time.
Let's do that. So anyway, thanks everyone for watching this evening. We enjoy any comments or feedback you've got, and please tune in next time. Yeah, let's prattle again soon.
See you, buddy.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, everybody.